While editing this video, I've received a comment from the D-Doid Heskey asking me to review this very album. Now, I haven't had too many rewarding moments since starting this channel, but the idea that I'm making content that someone with a Joe Weller KSI hybrid username would enjoy really makes this whole thing worthwhile. So, D-Doid Heskey, this video goes out to you. Hey, we're back for episode 3, 4. I've lost count and kind of lost interest in the series, if I'm being honest. But yeah, anyway, here we are. We're back, and my God, have we got an absolute classic of an indie album for you. We'll Live and Die in These Towns is the debut album of Coventry-based band The Enemy, and is one of the most successful albums of the whole noughties indie era. The band consists of bass player Andy Hopkins, drummer Liam Watts, and Tom Clark, who is singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. And the band was active for 10 years before disbanding in 2016. Last year they reunited for a couple comeback gigs in Coventry and announced a UK tour. However, they do not appear to be working on any new material. The commercial success of this album, particularly in the UK, really shows just how popular the so-called indie Landfill era was and how it resonated with listeners. It went straight into number 1 in the UK album charts in its first week and sold 220,000 copies in its first year. It reached platinum certification in February 2008 after surpassing 300,000 copies, and personally I can't imagine, in today's world of streaming and music trends, a guitar band from Coventry with, should we say, not conventionally attractive band members, sorry lads, would sell this well. This success was certainly not a flash in the pan either. The album has developed a strong cult following over the years. Quite soon after disbanding, Tom Clark was able to do an acoustic tour of this album. Also, it appears that in 2018 there was a musical theatre production of this album, which, while sounds fucking terrible, I'm sure that if I went to go and see it, I'd enjoy it far more than I had any right to. Personally, this is both a band and an album I flip-flopped on. On first discovery when I was around 15 or 16, in the height of my indie fandom, I thought this album and band in general were everything I could possibly want from music. Guitars, attitude, songs about mediocrity, lyrics that blended defiance and depression, a football casual-esque fashion style. It just ticked every edgy, frustrated, born in the wrong generation teenager's box. However, as time passed, I found the songs quite repetitive and the whole idea of the band so cliche. They look and sound like a computer-generated indie band. No one with any self-awareness can have a can of beer on a train on an away day listening to The Enemy and not feel like a complete fucking parody of themselves. So it'll be interesting, well for me at least, to go over this album again and see how it sounds in my older and slightly less angsty self. First track is called Aggro, and they give lots of it. As you can tell by the chorus, we'll set the streets on fire, when it comes on top, we'll give it lots of aggro, we'll give it lots of aggro. You know, these lot can be an absolute parody sometimes, can't they? I'm not going to get into the lyrics because there's just not much to say about them. It's almost like someone that doesn't speak much English was asked to write I Predict a Riot by the Kaiser Chiefs. To the song's credit, however, as an opener, it certainly sets things up for the rest of the record. It's got the vibe, if nothing else. All I wanted to do after listening to this was walk into a rival town centre and kick a wheelie bin over. You know in school when wannabe roadmen would listen to Man Don't Care by JME in order to seem hard? Well, Aggro is the Man Don't Care for people who watched Green Street once. It does its job as an opener for setting up the rest of the album, and it can still be enjoyed ironically. However, to stop me regressing back into my 16-year-old self, I'm going to have to put this on the Landfill.
I'm so sick and tired of working just to be
the first single off the album and the band's first to reach the top 10, this is genuinely a great indie tune. Supposedly inspired by the band's visits to the Channel Islands, it's a song about escaping the system rather than trying to break it. A fuck this rather than a fuck you, and I really enjoyed this tone. The opening line, I'm so sick and tired of working just to be retired, is great. The repetition of sick shows the protagonist is right at the end of his patience with his, I'm assuming, dead-end job and just wants to break free and get away. As someone who works a shitty 0 hours contract job, I really relate to lyrics like name badges are not interesting and feet dragging on the pavement, the same people with the same arrangements. Sure, you don't need a master's in English literature to work out what they're saying, but they're effective and there's a power in this simplicity. My favourite verse is the one about the crappy weekend being your only escape. I like this because it's the first of a common theme on this album. The idea that so many people work shitty jobs and live for the weekend, only for that weekend to be depressingly repetitive and ordinary. It's the subtle and depressing message of your weekends aren't worth working for, and instead you're better off running away and escaping. And I know I'm not the only person who that sentiment really hits home for. I'm sure someone who actually understands music could completely tear this track apart. However, for a layman like me, it's great and a song going straight into Landfill. So I'd completely forgotten about this song and I kind of wish it had stayed that way. What is this song? He says pressure a lot and there's something about a girl working 9 to 5, but Dolly Parton's already done that and far better. So yeah, this just seems like a load of loud waffle and one I am more than happy to throw away onto a landfill. This is the band's highest charting single, reaching number 4 in the UK charts. It's easy to see why. The hook is crazy catchy. The hey, hey, and face, face really stick in your head. It's not a complex song at all, it's just about being fed up with your mate who always gets you or themselves in trouble. While there's a feeling that the protagonist is genuinely ending this friendship, there is also a sense of immediate nostalgia about it. Like, he seems pleased he's putting this part of his life behind him, but it's a part that he does think of fondly. Like, no one got hurt, but I might if I continue, so I'll end it now before anyone does, sort of thing. Not too sure what I'm getting at here, but yeah, the tune and delivery of the lyrics rather than the complexity gives this song a blend of emotion. I think it's good, not great. Landfill? Yeah, sure, why not? No one really cares, it doesn't really matter, does it? This is just it, isn't it? Probably the defining song of the genre for me. If someone doesn't like this song, there's a good chance they won't like any noughties indie music, as it's so incredibly zeitgeisty. The song and album name, inspired from graffiti the band saw in the toilets of a local nightclub, is rhymed with "Don't let it drag you down," which is a lovely contrast of pessimism and optimism. It's again that sentiment of life being mundane and shit, but we're proud of that fact. The song is about poverty, boredom, repetition and petty crime of a working class town or city. Lyrics such as "wonder why you can't get no sleep when there's nothing to do and there's nothing to eat" say that rather than being kept up by the buzz and the noise of a city, it's instead hunger and the fact you're not tired as you haven't done anything all day. There are the reasons that you can't get to sleep at night. With the music video being the band members in a car driving around Coventry, looking out at a rather uninspiring Coventry evening, the song acts to me as a sequel to Ghost Town by the Specials. I'm obviously not putting this song or band anywhere near the Specials, but it does seem to represent a minor city 20 years on from a Thatcherite apocalypse. Must have guessed it already, this one is getting a Landfill. The fifth single from this album, this one peaking at number 18, is a song about the closing of the Peugeot factory in Coventry, costing 2,300 employees their jobs. The song has one verse that is repeated, with the chorus simply being the title sung over and over again. I like bits of this song. The lyrics, "You sold us down the river like rats, then drowned and beat the brave," is a cool rebellious message to the corporatists who, in their minds, are responsible for the town and the people's decline. The best lyric is the defiant "there's too many dreams in this wasteland to leave us all behind," as it can be either read optimistically, as in there's too many of us here who believe in each other to be defeated, or it can be seen as a desperate but essential plea to the corporations, saying that they're responsible for too many people's dreams for them to just close down and leave just like that. While it was all about money for them, it was life to the workers in the city. This ambiguous meaning reflects the conflict of emotions and the crossroads people would find themselves in, and I think it works really well. It's not the best sounding tune, however, it's quite shouty and it's not as resilient a tune as the lyrics are. Although, all things considered, to the former workers of the factory and the people of Coventry, it was probably a really significant song for them. So just for that, I'm going to put it in Landfill.
Now in the streets, men stand in lines, they're all wasted anyway. Not okay to be a slave.
This song feels very similar to Away From Here. In fact, it's almost like the protagonist from that song has managed to get away and is now telling a friend who stayed behind that he should do the same. It's essentially calling bullshit on the middle class lifestyle, saying that the marriage, kids, the car, the job, it's all fake. You're a slave to the Matrix, essentially, and you need to wake up to this. There's a theme of time in this song. The opening line is, "Stop living your life for the alarm," and the chorus ends with, "The clock is ticking fast, my friend, believe me. You only get one chance, do you hear me?" Which kind of gives the whole thing a midlife crisis feeling to it. While this is good and the kind of message I like in music, it's not the first or last to say this. They're certainly not the best at it either. It's like a song that got rejected off one of Blur's Britpop albums. I don't hate it. I actually quite like it. However, it's not really anything special, and I was quite lenient on the last song, so I'll be harsher here and toss it on the Landfill.
It's not okay to be.
So this song has four main characters: Shelley, Megan, Sammy and Danny. Shelley and Sammy are described as good boys and girls who never leave their parents' side and spend all night crying. I don't know what their parents do to them, but for some reason they're crying all the time when they're with them. Megan and Danny, on the other hand, they're bad and they go out, and I'm assuming they're the ones who the chorus so eloquently puts are banging on the backseat all night long. I'm just going to level with you here. I think this song is shit. All it's saying is that nerds are losers and lads are legends who love to go out and bang, I guess. Also, techno-dancephobic and alcoholophobic are terrible words. I hope Tom Clark wasn't hoping that these were going to catch on, because these are some of the naffest lyrics even by indie standards. Let's just chuck this one away and move on. Landfill. Fuck me, these two tracks back to back really slow this album down. For a song that is so loud and so high tempo, it's incredibly boring. It's just over 3.5 minutes of just pure waffle. Amongst the irrelevant lyrics and omnipresent guitar, I think what Tom Clark is trying to say is that having multiple girlfriends and shagging around isn't as easy as it looks. Yeah, Tom, mate, I reckon life's so hard for you. You know, my heart goes out to you. Again, let's throw this one in the landfill and never speak of it again.
And the pubs and clubs are full of drunks. I don't remember the day they were born or even that.
Track 10 is one of the band's most popular songs, and it kind of feels like it should be the closure to this album. It's going over old ground in outlining how bleak some of the prospects are for people growing up in deindustrialised towns and cities, saying that by the time you're 16, you're either going to be pushing pills or pushing prams. While most of the songs in this album feel like they're in the heat of the moment, this one's got a bit more of a nostalgic feel to it. Almost as if it takes place a few years after Aggro or the title track, for example. Again, there's nothing too smart lyrically about this song. There's some nice depictions of drunken pub fights by a fruit machine, but by track 10, we're not learning anything new about the band, or just the album's not saying anything that's not already said before. The real strength of this song is in its chorus, and the looping, seemingly infinite repetition of this song is about you. I remember when The Enemy broke up in 2016, seeing videos circulate on social media of fans singing this part of the song over and over again, ages after the band had finished playing on their farewell tour. While no one's going to claim that these guys are musical geniuses, they have managed to resonate with a particular group of people, and that for me is really special. There's far more talented artists out there who have failed to really captivate an audience like they have. I really do love this chorus. It's kind of, to me, everything that this era of music is meant to represent. It is reliant on nostalgia, feeling, vibe and personality rather than brilliant songwriting or excellent ability of a musical instrument. These songs really are about you, not your boss, not your teacher, not your friend, not your colleagues. It's about you and your life and how you feel. And so, as you can probably tell, this one's going straight on the Landfill, and again, one of the best songs of the indie era for me.
What would we do without you?
Happy Birthday Jane is the last song on this album, and yeah, it's a very, very weird way to end. Who is Jane? Why do I care if it's her birthday? I'm going to assume that Jane is someone close to the band, and I reckon she's probably the nicest person in the world. This band that has sung about poverty and desperation and aggression for 10 songs straight, essentially, is now suddenly all sort of soppy and sentimental about this random woman Jane. Lyrically, it's about the equivalent of the Happy Birthday song. You know, there's nothing too amazing in here. They rhyme away with day a lot, so I'm going to assume that this is just a track that Noel Gallagher threw away and the Enemy kind of found around in a recording studio or something. Weirdly though, I do quite like it. Like, it kind of confuses me, and you know, for a band that I have kind of pigeonholed and really thought could only make one type of music and spread one type of message, this shows that they have got more strings to their bow. I just don't know why this isn't on one of their later albums, which I think are sort of more on this vibe, and why they've decided to stick it at the end of this album. It just kind of confuses me a bit, but then again, so does almost everything in life. If you guys know the meaning of this song and why it's here, please comment down below. So yeah, this is a really hard one to put on the album. I guess it's got to go on the Landfill, right? Because it's just so out of place. But you know, yeah, fuck it, I'll put it on the Landfill. I think that might make the final score slightly more interesting, although I have lost count, because turns out this rating system means fuck all to me and everyone else. So yeah, Landfill, let's just end this video. Right, so we reached the end of the video, and the scores on the doors are Landfill 6, Lambrill 5. So yes, that Happy Birthday song was the decider. We're gonna have to throw away this album. I'm so sorry, guys. You know what, actually, we don't have to do anything to it. It can be enjoyed however anyone wants. I don't know anything about music. I'm just passing time in my room making these videos. So yeah, that's that. Hope you've enjoyed. I know there's always quite a big wait in between these episodes, and there's going to be an even longer one between this and the next one, because I'm off doing something which you may or may not see on this channel. Yeah, subscribe if you like this content. I'm not sure why you would, but you might. Comment down below what your thoughts on the album, how you would rate the songs. Again, if I've tossed your favourite song away, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't put much thought into it. Don't attack me. You're probably right. So yeah, enough waffle. I'll see you when I can next be bothered to make a video. In a bit, boys.